Hello everyone! Today in this lesson we are going to study about modulation in music. So we are going to look what is a modulation in music, what are the related keys, how to find a pivot chord, and how to make a modulation to the related keys. Okay? Before we start, let's look at the definition of modulation. What does it mean, a modulation in music? So, modulation describes the process where a piece of music changes from one key to another key. Modulation is a very important part of music composition as it allows you to move smoothly from the home key to many other keys. Let's look at this example. This very short music taken from Mazurka by Tchaikovsky. And it finished on F major. So we have a modulation from D minor to F major. And today I will show you how to do it. Okay? How to find closely related keys. You need to understand when we talk about related keys, those keys, they are very close to each other. So if you look at C major, and here I have a circle of fifths for you, especially so then visually you can see how to find the closely related keys. Okay, starting from C major, if you look on your right side, you see G major. Yes, and G major for C major is a dominant key, right? From C major to the left side here we have F major, and F major for C major is subdominant. So what we have here, we have tonic key, subdominant and dominant keys. They are all together closely related keys. And of course their relatives minor also closely related keys because they have the same amount of sharps or flats. Okay. Let's look at another example here. Let's say their home key is E flat major. So, how many possibilities do you have? Many. You have about 5 keys here around E flat major, and you can easily make a modulation from E flat major to B flat major, from E flat major to A flat major, or from E flat major to G minor, or to C minor, to F minor. All of these are possible. Okay. Next, before we actually start doing the modulations, we have a couple of rules here. The rule number 1 is modulation has to end on a strong beat, such as the first beat of the bar. Rule number 2, you need to use a dominant chord before a new key. And rule number 3, you need to use a pivot chord. Pivot chord is a chord which is common for both keys. The advantage of a pivot chord modulation is that it enables a smooth change from one key to another. Keys. Okay? If you look here between C major and A minor, we have 4 common chords. They are C major, D minor, F major, A minor, and even diminished B chord is also a common chord between C major and A minor. For example, you might say why, for example, E minor is not a common chord, because look, in C major it's just normal E minor, the chord number 3, yes, but in A minor, yes, you need to use the major chord E. Why? Because in minor we usually, especially in classical music, we use harmonic minor, so that's why from where comes your G sharp. And E minor and E major, they are 2 different chords, that's why they're not common, they're not pivot chords. Okay, so let me show you this example here, modulation from C major to A minor, starting from chord 1, but this is different inversions I'm using here. So chord 1, 4, this is a pivot chord, and then I have dominant chord of a new key, A minor, and this is just repeat the dominant to tonic just to underline the new key one more time. Okay, here is the same example, but this is written in 4 parts. Listen, this is starting from C major. This is a pivot chord, chord 7 or chord 2, dominant, tonic, dominant, and we are in A minor already. Okay, next one, between C major and G major we have 4 common chords. They are E minor, G major, A minor, and C major. Okay, 4 chords, remember them. And then in this example I am using chord A minor chord, which is in C major. Note A is counting from C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In C major this is chord 6, but in G major this is chord 2. So if I start counting from G, A is the second note. Of course, this is chord 2. Both of them, they're exactly the same for both keys, but they have different functions, right? And after this pivot chord, you need to put the dominant chord for the new key, and then you do a nice resolution, and that's your modulation is done. Very easy. Let's listen to this example. C major, pivot chord, dominant, tonic, dominant, and we are in G major. The same example here, nearly the same chords, but just written in 4 parts. Starting in C major. Pivot chord, dominant chord for the new key, and this is just the statement of the new key, which is G major. Okay, next example. Between C major and E minor, we have only 3 pivot chords. They are E minor, A minor, and C major. Other chords, they're not common. Okay, so let me play this example. C major, and then we have pivot chord, and then we have dominant chord, and resoluting to E minor. Starting from C major. Chord 1, chord 5. This is my pivot chord, A minor, dominant, resolution to E minor, again dominant. Very good. And the same example in 4 parts. Dominant. Next one, we have between C major and F major. This time we have how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 chords. A minor, C major, D minor, and F major. You can use any of them as a pivot chord, as a common chord. Let's look at this, my example. C major. Start C major. This is a pivot chord. F major is a pivot chord. And then this is a dominant to F major. Okay. Another example of modulation from C major to F major, written in 4 parts. Listen to this one. Okay, all these examples are shown in different chords, but once you have a chord progression, you can write your melody on top of it. So for example, if you are composing a piece of music, just example. You see, it's easy to write the melody on top of your chord progression and make a beautiful modulation to the related keys. Okay, next one, between C major and D minor, we have only one common chord, which is D minor. And for D minor chord is chord 1, you see. So let's look at this chord progression, which I have here. C major, then A minor. This is a pivot chord. And then dominant, resolution, dominant 7 to tonic of D minor. Okay, and this is another example, but this one again written in 4 parts. Listen, C major. This is pivot chord here. Dominant. This is how the dominant sounds, really nice. And then resolution. Very, very nice. Okay, in this chart you can see other keys with common chords. So between C major and D major there are only 2 common chords. They are E minor and G major. Between C major and B minor, again, 2 common chords there, E minor and G major. Between C major and B flat major, 2 common chords there, D minor and F major. Between C major and C minor, 2 common chords. We still have 2 more common chords there, G major and B diminished chord. Only in those cases when you are using C minor harmonic, when you have 7th degree raised. Okay, between C major and F minor, 1 common chord, C major, and between C major and B flat minor is also 1 common chord. Okay, this example, all these examples I did in C major, but you do exactly the same in different keys. You just transpose them, or you just count and find the pivot chords, and then find the new dominant for the new key, and then you do resolution. Okay, good. Now this is a chart here to show you how to find pivot chords. Maybe you can use this chart if you are not sure how to find the pivot chords. I will explain you how it works. First of all, you need to establish the first key. The tonic for the key you establish is now in green. Yes, and 1 or a small 1 in the top left corner of the table. For example, C major again. So you choose a C major, and that's your green, where you have the number 1 in green. That's your first key, your home key. Now next one. Now decide the closely related key that you want to modulate. Find that key Roman numeral on the left hand column. Those Roman numerals are in dark gray. I want to modulate, for example, let's say to D minor. You see down there, I can go to D minor, to E minor, to F major, to G major, or A minor, all of them down there. So let's say I want to go to D minor. Now I want to find the pivot chord. So you need to move along the row to see which chords are shared between the two closely related keys. The chords that are shared between C major and D minor are chord 2, D minor, you see, and then we have chord 4, again, or it is a chord 3 in D minor. They are highlighted in yellow. Use one of those chords as a pivot chord and then followed by the dominant of the new key. Okay? You can use this chart, very easy to find all your pivot chords. Okay? Now the exercise, you will need to do all the exercises and then try to make your own chord progression with all the pivot chords and then the new dominant key and then resolution of that dominant to your new key. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you have any questions, please ask, and see you soon. Bye-bye.